Magic the Gathering is a game that features a vast and continuous multiverse of stories set across countless planes and that incorporates numerous themes. One of those themes is horror. With the beginning of October, so begins our countdown to Halloween. 30 days, 30 decks, 30 different creatures of the night, all culminating with a special 31st episode on Halloween Day itself. For those of you with a profound fascination of the macabre, I invite you to join me on this venture through 30 days of night. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm MTG Budget Brew, and welcome to day 16 of our 30 days of night. Today we're playing a mummy deck. However, mummy is not a creature type. All the mummy cards are actually zombie cards. And that got me thinking about what the difference is between the two. And I think the embalming process is the largest contributing factor to distinguish them from one another. If you had all your organs removed and then got wrapped in bandages before returning to life, then you're a mummy. If not, then you're just a zombie. But that begs the question, if the biggest difference is simply the corpse preparation, if you were to be bitten by a mummy, would you then turn into a zombie? I think you would, or rather you should. I think it's kind of like asking, is a hot dog a sandwich? It's questions like these that truly got me interested in playing Magic the Gathering to begin with. But now let's take a look at today's deck list. The main card that I built today's deck around was Temmet, Naktamun's Will. It's 2 and Esper for a 4/4 zombie wizard with Vigilance and Menace that says, whenever you attack, draw a card, then discard a card. And whenever you draw a card, zombies you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. I'm only running 2 copies of Temmet because it is a legendary 5-drop, which means that we had 2 other slots available for rare cards, and I decided to go with Diregraf Colossus. It's 2 and a black for a 2/2 zombie giant that says, this creature enters with a +1/+1 counter on it for each zombie card in your graveyard, and whenever you cast a zombie spell, create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token. The other mummy cards that I decided to run were 2 copies of Festering Mummy, a playset of Binding Mummy, 4 copies of Tattered Mummy, and finally a playset of Wayward Servant, which doesn't have mummy in the name, but is most definitely a mummy, based off of the artwork. After that, I am running a Shambling Ghast Deadly Dispute package in the deck. And then we have Lord of the Accursed, which is 2 and a black for a 2/3 zombie that says, other zombies you control get +1/+1. You can also pay 2, tap this, and all zombies you control gain menace until end of turn. Then finally, we have some removal with 3 copies of Bone Shards and 3 copies of Infernal Grasp. For our mana base, we are running 8 plains, 2 islands, 10 swamps, and 4 copies of Obscura Storefront. Our deck is primarily black and white. However, because we are running Temmet, we have a tiny splash of blue. So that's why we're only running 2 islands. Blue is not a color that we want to see a lot of, and Obscura Storefront can go tutor the islands when we need it. And I'm not that concerned about not having access to blue mana because of the fact that we're running a Shambling Ghast Deadly Dispute combo, which makes treasures. So far, I don't remember having any trouble getting Temmet down by turn 5. So I think we have enough access to blue. If we take a look at my untapped account, we can see that I'm currently 7-2 with this deck, which is a 78% win rate. I'll be honest, the deck has been feeling pretty good, pretty solid. Both of our rares do a ton of heavy lifting in this deck list. Diregraf Colossus has amazing synergy with Wayward Servant, because Wayward Servant says, whenever another zombie enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So if we have Wayward Servant and Diregraf Colossus out together, whenever we cast a new zombie spell, we're really getting 2 triggers for Wayward Servant, whatever zombie that we cast, and then the token that's going to enter from Diregraf Colossus. So we get to drain our opponent for 2 rather than just 1. And that's really nice. And then again, Diregraf Colossus can help us go wide. So by the time we get down Temmet and are able to swing, we'll just have that many more creatures to get buffed from Temmet's ability. And Temmet has very good synergy as well with Deadly Dispute, because this allows us to draw additional cards, and drawing cards is what triggers Temmet, so we can get additional buffs for our board. And that's just, it's been very nice when that does happen. All right, with that said, I think it's time we go hop into some matches. All right, guys, here we are in game number 1. In our opening hand, pretty decent. We got every color, which is nice. And we have Temmet, so hopefully we'll be able to see him in action in game numero uno. The only concern, we need more mummies. We only have Binding Mummy in our hand, which is 1 and a white for a 2/2 zombie that says, whenever another zombie you control enters, you may tap target artifact or creature. Our only real play for turn 2 is to play the Binding Mummy, so we're just going to go ahead and get that down. And now we're going to hope that we top deck literally any of our other zombies. Our opponent plays Goblin Instigator, When that enters, they get a 1/1 token. We top deck a land. That's really not what we wanted to see. I think I'm going to get down the Obscura Storefront right now and then go grab a second black source. Say no attacks and then end the turn. Our opponent casts Militia Bugler. 2 and a white for 2/3 human soldier with vigilance. When this creature enters, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card of power 2 or less from among them, put it into your hand, with the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. He finds another Goblin Instigator, but then he passes. Okay, we're still not finding any more zombies. We do find an Infernal Grasp though, which I will use to kill the Militia Bugler, and then end the turn. Well, next turn we get to play Temmet, so hopefully he does not have removal for it. Our opponent gets down another Goblin Instigator, and also a Martyr of Dusk. 2 mana, 2/1. When this creature dies, create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. Okay. Top deck of Bone Shards, which doesn't really help us here, so we are just going to play the Temmet. I will tap down the Martyr of Dusk. I will go to combat. That will trigger Temmet. We will get to draw and then discard a card. I'm going to discard the Obscura Storefront we drew into, and then that will put a +1/+1 counter. Or not a +1/+1 counter. That'll give our zombies +1/+1 until end of turn. Made our Binding Mummy a 3/3. He did not block it. He went down to 17. Opponent plays out a Boggart Brute. 2 and a red for a 3/2 with Menace. Okay. We drew for turn, and that does trigger Temmet. So our zombies just got +1/+1 until end of turn. Here, I'm going to play out a Lord of the Accursed. When that enters, that will trigger Binding Mummy. I'm going to tap down the 3/2. I will go to combat. I will swing both of our creatures. We will get to draw and then discard again. I'm going to discard one of our Deadly Disputes. Our board gets buffed again. So now we're swinging a 7/7 Temmet and a 5/5 Binding Mummy. Our opponent says no blocks. They eat the 12. They go down to 5, which is crazy to me. And then we're just going to end the turn. Wow. That's a lot of damage to eat when you have a lot of chump blockers. I wonder if he's just got like a lot of pump spells in his hand for his whole board and he's trying to really save his creatures to swing out and kill us in a single turn. But that single turn needs to be like now. He just played Cavalry Drill Master. 2 mana, 2/1 that says when this creature enters, target creature gets +2/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn. He's going to choose his Boggart Brute. So it's a 5/2 with first strike and menace now. We go to combat. He swings just the Brute. I will say no blocks. We take 5, we go down to 14, and he ends his turn. Okay, interesting. I'm going to play out this Binding Mummy. When this enters, it will trigger our original Binding Mummy, so I will tap down our opponent's 2/1 Martyr of the Dusk, or Martyr of Dusk. I am then going to cast Bone Shards, discarding a card. I'm going to destroy their Cavalry Drill Master. We will ditch the swamp that's in our hand, and I'm going to swing just the Temmet. We draw into a Diregraf Colossus, so I'm going to discard a Deadly Dispute. Keep the Colossus in our hand, so that way we can trigger both of our Binding Mummies next turn, tap down 2 of his blockers. So he has to block Temmet here or he dies. And even if he were to block with all of his creatures, Temmet would still survive. In fact, I should have swung the Binding Mummy as well. I didn't think about the fact that it would become a 5/5. That's okay. I think we're still in a pretty good position right now. Our opponent plays out a Leonin Vanguard. I see, and this was his big win condition right here. Heroic Reinforcements. 4 mana sorcery, create 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. Until end of turn, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain haste. So how much damage does he actually have to... I don't know, but I'll worry about the math later. All right, he swings out. We go down to 5. And then that's just game. All right, pretty decent first game. It was a little bit slow. The 2 Deadly Disputes that we had in hand did literally nothing for us. We didn't draw into any of the creatures that we wanted to sacrifice. But yeah, our board state was just really good. Even if our opponent hadn't swung out that turn and kept up as many blockers as he could. On our next turn, we'd be able to play out Diregraf Colossus, which would trigger both of our Binding Mummies, so we'd get to tap down 2 of their blockers. And then we'd get to play Wayward Servant, that would tap down 2 more blockers, plus the Diregraf Colossus would then make a 2/2 black zombie creature token, again triggering Binding Mummies, so that we could tap down 6 total blockers on our next turn. It would have been disgusting. Yeah, there's no way we're losing that game. All right, here we are in game number 2. In our opening hand, it's okay. Certainly not bad, but I would really like to see a 1-drop creature for this Deadly Dispute. And we do not get one. So we're going to start with just our Binding Mummy once again, which actually gets countered by a Force Spike counter target spell unless its controller pays 1. How very annoying. Let's see if they have a second one. They have Essence Scatter. This is really fun, you guys. I'm having a great time. Let's try Lord of the Accursed. It too will get Force Spiked, and after our opponent flashes in a Brineborn Cutthroat. This is truly a wonderful experience. I think this brings up a great philosophical debate. If you never have one of your spells resolve, did you play Magic? I would argue that no. No. If none of your spells ever get to finish being cast, then no, you did not get to play Magic that game. And that's my biggest problem with counter spells. It makes you play less Magic. And I'm not just a mono blue hater. I certainly don't love it, but I have the same issue with some of the other colors in Magic as well. The reason why I dislike board wipes is because it incentivizes the person who is playing the board wipe to not play more cards, right? You're not going to play a bunch of creatures if you know you're going to wipe the board. So it incentivizes you to play less Magic. Mono blue prevents your opponent from playing Magic because, again, if none of your spells resolve, did you really play? I don't think so. Mono black discard. I don't like that because by forcing your opponent to discard cards, they have less opportunity to play Magic. Like if you have no cards in hand and then you top deck a bunch of lands, you're not casting any spells. So I don't like mechanics that lead to players playing less Magic. Like it makes no sense. Anyway, we've taken a bunch of damage. We're down to 5. Our opponent has 1 card in hand. Let's see if I can kill his Brineborn Cutthroat. This says sacrifice a merfolk, counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 1. Okay, we'll do this. I will discard. I think the Deadly Dispute is fine. If we top deck a land, we can play Temmet. If not, we still have Lord of the Accursed to play next turn, which will give us a 2/2 from Diregraf Colossus. Let's say no attacks. That sucks. I should have blocked with Diregraf Colossus last turn. Now I have to take this unfavorable trade, and we have no blockers. I'm play out a Tattered Mummy. He's getting priority, but I doubt he has any more counter spells. I'm pretty sure it's just the Voldalian Hex Catcher. We block with Tattered Mummy. It dies. When it dies, each opponent loses 2 life. Find another land. I can play Temmet, but then it just dies. So I guess we go for Lord of the Accursed. 5 counter spells. We block the Brineborn Cutthroat. It dies. Top deck Infernal Grasp. Let's see if we can kill our opponent's Brineborn Cutthroat. Big surprise! It got countered again. That was super fun. I had what, like 3 spells resolve? All right, here we are in game number 3. Our opponent is running 62 cards because they don't know how to cut cards. Start with the Leyline of the Void. Do I care about my graveyard? I think only Diregraf Colossus cares. Our opponent just cast Tome Scour though. So that's interesting. They are trying to mill us out. I think I'm going to start with Obscura Storefront here. We're going to go grab a Plains. So that way I can get down Wayward Servant next turn. Our Bone Shards in hand are going to do literally nothing. So our hand is actually pretty terrible for what our opponent's playing. Because they're not going to play any creatures. Not unless they're running Brewvac. Oh, there's a Brewvac. So he is running that. But maybe our Bone Shards will have a target. Hey, and there he is. Okay, I feel much happier about our hand now. He's already down to 1 card in hand. That's pretty crazy. And play a Swamp. I'm going to Bone Shards, discarding an island, kill Brewvac. I play out Tattered Mummy. That drains our opponent for 1. We swing in for 2. Set our opponent to 17. Our opponent's deck is interesting. I think they're mono blue mill, but also just have Leyline of the Void in their deck in case it's in their opening hand. That way they can just cheat it out for free without having to run any black in their deck. Which is kind of cool. They play a Merfolk Secret Keeper. We do need to destroy that. So I will Infernal Grasp it, and then play a Shambling Ghast. Drain our opponent for 1, swing in for 3 more. Set our opponent to 13. We are down to 30 cards in our library. And he just milled what I think is his 3rd Brewvac. It was. This Lord of the Accursed will be massive. We're going to get that down. Drain our opponent for 1. Swing in for what? 7? Yeah, 7 damage. Set our opponent down to 5. They got to kill us now, and that's really close. You just cast Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Each opponent exile cards from top of the library until that player has exiled cards with total mana value of 20 or greater. The average CMC for our deck is pretty low. That got us all the way down to down to 8 cards. Mesmeric Orb is going to make us mill 6 more. We go down to 2 cards left in our library. We draw 1, and then we swing out for lethal. 1 card left in our library. That was close. That was very close. We got lucky that he milled a lot of his gas. There was at least 1 turn there where his top deck was just an island. That Tasha's Hideous Laughter is pretty close to getting the job done though. The last card that we had in our deck, it was Temmet, because I only see the 1 in our graveyard. Post game. All right, here we are in game number 4, I believe. Opening hand, ew. Not great. Triple Deadly Dispute is kind of ridiculous. And we draw into a land. That's not what I wanted to see. Why have I not seen any of our Festering Mummies or Shambling Ghasts? Or even our Tattered Mummies? when I have a Deadly Dispute in hand. That is 10 Deadly Dispute targets that we have in the deck. We are just not getting them. I think I'm just going to play out Lord of the Accursed here, swing in for 3, set our opponent to 17. Our opponent played Glimpse the Core. They searched for basic forest, put on the battlefield, tapped, then shuffled. And they're ramping a lot. They just played Encroaching Dragonstorm. 3 and a green for an enchantment that says, when this enters, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. When a dragon you control enters, return this enchantment to its owner's hand. Very scary. I'm going to get down our Obscura Storefront. We're going to go grab an island. We'll play out Diregraf Colossus. Then we will swing in for 5. We set our opponent down to 12. It's not terrible, but our opponent has like 7 mana. That's a big guy. I believe that bounces things to our hands. It does indeed. We really need to draw into removal. That's not removal. Our opponent played Meringue River Regent. 6 mana, 6/7 flying. When this creature enters, return up to 2 other target non-land permanents to their owner's hand. I am going to play out Tattered Mummy. That will allow us to tap down his dragon with our Binding Mummy. I'm then going to go to combat, swing in for 2, and then we'll end the turn. And I'm going to hold up a Deadly Dispute. Even if our opponent doesn't use any removal this turn, I will sacrifice our Tattered Mummy to the Deadly Dispute. They play Ureni, the Song of Unending. 8 mana, 10/10 flying, protection from white, protection from black. Okay, so I can't tap that down with Binding Mummy. When it enters, it deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers your opponents control, where X is the number of lands you control. Okay, we said we'll just Deadly Dispute in response anyway. Sack our Tattered Mummy. Our opponent loses 2 life. We get some draws. They swing in with their blue dragon. We take 6. I'm going to play out Diregraf Colossus, then a Binding Mummy. That will make us a 2/2 token. Our opponent has 16 in the air, and that's just game. Well, that's too bad. We're just a little bit too slow. All right, here we are in game number 5. This is going to be our last one, and our opening hand looks pretty good. We finally have something to sacrifice to Deadly Dispute. And our opponent gives us a perfect target to put a -1/-1 counter on from our Festering Mummy. So, turn 1. Festering Mummy. Opponent goes to combat. I say no blocks. I take 1 from his 1/1 Death Touch Moss Viper. Down comes Finn the Fangbearer. Whoever could have guessed that. And now, rather than use our Deadly Dispute on our Festering Mummy, I'm just going to Bone Shards, using to sacrifice a creature. We're going to destroy Finn. We sack off the Festering Mummy. When it dies, we can put a -1/-1 counter on target creature. Put that on the Moss Viper. And now his entire board is gone. Pretty good. If we can top deck another swamp, that would be amazing, because then we can Shambling Ghast Deadly Dispute into that. One plays Call of the Death Dweller. He brings back both of his creatures. That's really annoying. It says return up to 2 target creature cards with total mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a death counter or Death Touch counter on either of them. Put a menace counter on either of them. He put the menace counter on the Moss Viper. All right, anyway, we're going to Shambling Ghast. We're going to Deadly Dispute. We sacrifice the Shambling Ghast. Put a -1/-1 counter on the Moss Viper again, getting rid of it. And we get some draws. Our opponent connects with Finn. We get 2 poison counters. And then they end the turn. Very suspicious. I will cast Diregraf Colossus. Our opponent does have removal, I believe. And Diregraf Colossus is going to die. That really sucks. I really wanted that Colossus to stick around so we can get blockers. We missed a land drop there, and that really sucks. Having a 5th land would have been huge for us, because I could have double cast some spells. We're missing another land drop here. I'm going to play out Wayward Servant, and I'm going to use our treasure to play out a Tattered Mummy. We drain our opponent for 1. That sucks. We only have 3 lands. He's about to be on land number 5. He does not play a 5th land. He misses one right here. He brought back Moss Viper with Call of the Death Dweller. And then he just played Favored Enemy, which says, as this enchantment enters, note the most prevalent creature type in an opponent's library. When this enters, target creature you control fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. Whenever creature an opponent controls of the noted type dice, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. They had Finn fight our zombie. Wow, how are we up to 7? When did we go up to 7 poison counters? How do we have an odd number? Oh, because of Infectious Bite. This is all really terrible just because we got mana screwed. I'll play out a Binding Mummy, say no attacks. Our opponent's going to Cultivate. Gonna double block the Moss Viper. It has Menace, so I have to. They kill our Binding Mummy, which really sucks, but what I expected. We go up to 9. Probably just lose the game here. I will go to combat. I will swing with our Tattered Mummy. We have to find removal here for Finn, or we just lose the game. We probably just lose the game anyway, but we need to draw into removal. We do find it. We find Infernal Grasp. I will kill the Finn. Take 2. We go down to 13. We have 9 poison counters. If he has any way to proliferate or just put on 1 more poison counter, it's game over. Played a Questing Beast, so that got to hit us. But we're not dead yet. We can play out Temmet. And this is really scary. Don't have a fight spell, please. For one turn, don't have a fight spell. Turgid's Lantern, it's not a fight spell. They tap the Lantern. We have the option to lose 3 life, sacrifice a non-land permanent, or discard a card. I will discard a card. I don't need this plains. Okay, if he swings a Questing Beast, do I block? No. I say no to the block. We go down to 6. Temmet becomes a 5/5 because of our draw. And play out Lord of the Accursed. I'm going to keep the plains in our hand so we can discard it to Turgid's Lantern. We'll go to combat. We swing Temmet. We'll now discard this plains, actually, because we drew into a Tattered Mummy. Temmet connects for 7. He has Menace and Vigilance, so our opponent could not block with just their Questing Beast. And we're going to play out this Tattered Mummy. Tattered Mummy, when it dies, cause our opponent to lose 2 life. If he activates his Turgid's Lantern here, we can sacrifice a non-land permanent, and we'll make that our treasure token. There's 1 card in hand right now. It's Nissa, who shakes the world. You're going to +1 it, put 3+1/+1 counters onto 1 target non-creature land you control. Untap it, it becomes a 0/0 elemental creature with vigilance and haste that's still a land. I don't have to block this Questing Beast, so I don't think I do. I think we take the 4, we go down to 2. And we hope we top deck something good. Top deck a Shambling Ghast. If I play it out, that doesn't help us. So I don't play the Shambling Ghast. We go to combat. We get the draw off of Temmet, and we hope that we top deck another Infernal Grasp to kill his Questing Beast before he can declare blockers. I think that's the best move, right? Do I activate Lord of the Accursed to give these 2 Menace? This already has Menace. So do I tap this down to give Tattered Mummy Menace? I don't think so. I think we just go to combat, swing with all 3. Say good game, and we'll see what's up. On the attack, we draw a card. Then we get to discard a card. Man, we top deck the Lord of the Accursed. That would have been nice to have before combat. All of our zombies get +1/+1 until end of turn. How does he block? Actually, we're still going to have Temmet as a blocker next turn. We might be able to win this. He double blocks Temmet. He untaps Turgid's Lantern. We have the option to lose 3 life, sack a non-land permanent, or discard a card. We're going to discard the Lord of the Accursed. Kill the Questing Beast and his Forest. We set our opponent down to 1. What is his top deck? If he top decks another Questing Beast, we die. Oh, wait. Does a 3/3 get haste? He Meat Hook Massacres. He just threw the game, right? No. With the trigger on the stack, he's going to Turgid's Lantern. That's crazy. That's crazy. I thought he just threw the game. That was wild. So we had no blockers up. If he had just +1 Nissa, he would have had a 3/3 elemental creature land that he could just swing at us and we would have died because we're what, at 2 life? But for a second there, I thought he threw the game because he cast the Meat Hook Massacre, which wiped our board, but that killed Tattered Mummy, which says when this creature dies, each opponent loses 2 life. With that trigger on the stack, he taps down his Turgid's Lantern, and I did not have a card to discard to it, nor a non-land permanent to sacrifice to it, which meant we had to lose 3 life. That was crazy. That was really close. Game ends 1 to -1. That was a great match. That was a good way to end things. I would have preferred if we had won it, but that was still a fun match. And naturally, this was not one of the times that Arena asks, did you have fun in this match? Because I would have said yes. Here we are back on my untapped account. We can see that we are currently 9-5 with the deck with a 64% win rate. Unfortunately for this play session, or even this recording session, we went 2-3, which is unfortunate. Naturally, before that, you know, I was 4-0, 3-1. But then I start recording, so naturally, I'm going to lose more games. And you know what? Now as I look at the deck changes that I made, I might want to make a small tweak. Maybe not. The small tweak that I just considered making was cutting down 2 Tattered Mummies and then going up with 2 more copies of Festering Mummy because we kept struggling to find targets for our Deadly Disputes. However, that doesn't change the amount of Deadly Dispute targets that we'd have in the deck. It would still be 10 of them. I might want to go down in removal, actually. I think I would cut down a Bone Shards and an Infernal Grasp to be able to run 2 more copies of Festering Mummy. But if that's the case, if I'm only running 4 removal spells, I would just make it a full playset of Infernal Grasp. Yeah, you know what? If you're going to try out this deck list, the version that will be down in the description will be the adjusted one that I just discussed. I'm going to cut out all the copies of Bone Shards. I will then go up 2 copies of Festering Mummy for a full playset of it, and then we'll add 1 Infernal Grasp to have a full playset of that. And I think that will feel better for the deck, because we were having too many issues with these Deadly Disputes just clogging up our hand. And I know part of that is just being unlucky, like having a hand with what, 3 copies of Deadly Dispute? That's just, again, unlucky, rarely is ever going to happen and cause issues with your hand. But it did just happen. But even before that, we were struggling to find targets with Deadly Dispute. You would think that 10 sacrifice targets would be enough, but I guess not. And you know what? Adding 2 more 1/1 zombie bodies just makes our Wayward Servant and Diregraf Colossus better. So I don't hate the change. But overall, I was still pretty satisfied with mummies. They're pretty fun. I really enjoy using Diregraf Colossus and also Temmet. Again, I think the rares in this deck are very cool. And as far as our mana base, again, I did not have any issues during this play session with finding access to blue mana to be able to cast Temmet. So I think the mana base is fine still. Anyway, that is going to wrap up day 16 of our 30 Days of Night. So if you liked the video, you should like the video. If you liked me, the video, and you like Magic the Gathering, you should consider subscribing to the channel because that will get you more of all three. And with all of that said, I will see you guys tomorrow.